Sufan was reborn as soon as he opened his eyes. Good news. Our family is not bankrupt. Bad news. Going bankrupt in 4 hours. Faced with this issue of rapid life and death, Sufan said. I can't save a little bit. I can't solve the bankruptcy crisis, but I can solve myself. Open the old textbook and prepare to kill all directions. How to distinguish between smiling flower and weeping grass. What changes will occur in the body of an electric mouse when it has a fever? How many secret realms are there on the blue star that can be accessed? Sufan, closing the book. Oh, it turns out to be the world of beasts. Beastmaster is the most popular profession here, subsidized by the government, with many opportunities. Master You Beast is the top talent in this industry. Becoming a master of beast control, with a wide source of money and just going bankrupt, is not a problem. She can't do well in the middle and high school entrance exams. She can handle the imperial beast at least. I was confused in my previous life, so let's have something different in this life. Keywords of the novel. Rebirth goes bankrupt at the beginning. I rely on the beast to flip the game without pop-ups. Rebirth goes bankrupt at the beginning. I rely on the beast to flip the game. To download the complete TXT collection. Rebirth goes bankrupt at the beginning. I rely on the beast to flip the game. To read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. My family goes bankrupt again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. My family goes bankrupt again. Linjiang City. 22 households, building 22, happiness community. Woo woof. Stinky, stunky. The wet and slippery touch ran back and forth on Sufan's face. This must be her own dog running around to wake her up again, but Sufan didn't remember. She finally took a break from the broken company and didn't sleep well until early morning after watching the drama. Don't make a fuss. Sufan rolled over, tucked into the blanket, immersed in a warm atmosphere, and a drowsiness surged up again. Woo 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 woo. The dog's voice sounded quite unhappy and helpless, but I'm sorry, she just stayed in bed today. Sufan was vaguely about to see Duke Zhou waving to her, and in a half-asleep and half-awake moment, a strong force struck her. Sufan sat up with his whole body pulled up. She was suddenly startled awake. What? Zhou Gong and all the butterflies were forgotten, and the pitiful little heart cried and complained to itself. She angrily pointed at her own dog and said, "What are you doing? Wait." The eyes in front of her were staring like copper bells, and her mouth was even bigger than her head. What was this thing wearing her own dog skin? Is this still my own dog? Seeing Sufan stunned, the giant dog in front of him lowered its ears and head, sighing helplessly. It reached out its paw and patted Sufan's shoulder, then pointed to the folded clothes placed aside. Although he didn't speak out, Sufan understood. Is this probably asking her to get up and get dressed quickly? So this is my dog Nanny. Ah bah. It was agreed that after the founding of the People's Republic of China, no one is allowed to become refined. Seeing it friendly and harmless, Sufan also gathered the courage to scrutinize it. Gray-white hair, with 2 black spots on the back, looking like round black spots, the blue eyes are as pure and clear as gemstones, and there is a missing piece in the left ear. That was when I went back to my hometown and fought with local bandits in the countryside. Apart from its size, it is a complete replica of its own dog. Soup, rice dumpling. Woo. Woo woof. The dog raised its eyes and happily wagged its tail at her. It seems that it is undoubtedly its own dog, and there is a brown patch behind its tail that has been burnt due to the fire. It blinked at Sufan and then looked at the regular clothes placed aside, gesturing for Sufan to get up quickly. Then the white light on rice dumpling turned back to normal size in an instant. Sufan found it pleasing to the eye, but she immediately lifted the blanket and got out of bed, running barefoot to the door, about to tell her mother and adult about the news of the dog's mutation. Mom! Mom! The words came to a sudden halt. Hey! Is her bedroom door this smooth painted white? Isn't it that cheap yellow wooden door? Is this shiny golden doorknob her ordinary rotating handle? Sufan instinctively looked around. The bedroom floor is made of logs, a sky-blue bookshelf is placed in the corner of the wall, the warm sunshine sprinkled down from the beautiful blinds, covering the entire room. This is not right. This bright, spacious, and exquisite large bedroom is not her little sparrow dog house. Overnight, did she travel? Click and wipe. The door has opened. A voice with a sense of urging sounded behind her. Sufan. Hurry up early in the morning to eat, what are you yelling at? Sufan instinctively turned around to look, but his eyes widened. Are you my mother? After a crackling preaching. Sitting at the dining table, Sufan was lost in his appetite. She went from a 25-year-old social animal to a 15-year-old self in another world. Although there is something to ask Dunyang about, she must have no way to solve the strange matter of traveling through parallel worlds and returning to old age. The best way to understand a new world is probably not just to believe in Dunyang's one-sided words. So after asking Dunyang a few questions, Sufan brushed up his scarf. How to say it? The various news push notifications are as follows. Today, the Extraordinary Biological Protection Law, newly revised, is promulgated. There may be significant changes in the Extraordinary League. Surprisingly, the defeat of the genius sword shield beast stems from this. Stay tuned. About the migration route of the dragon tribe. The source of the sharp drop in stock prices of Shanghai Shuiquan is actually ghosts and monsters. Sufan found that most of the news hotspots focus on extraordinary creatures, which are closely related to the operation of human society in this world. So, in layman's terms, she actually traveled to the world of beasts. In this world, humans and extraordinary creatures share the resources on the blue star together. Mountains, rivers, plants, birds, animals, insects, and fish can all transform into extraordinary creatures. They possess the power of flying to heaven and earth, moving mountains and seas, and such terrifying power, unrestricted, can destroy the blue star in minutes, and humans are the lucky ones chosen by nature. At the age of 15, humans are able to awaken the royal tattoo, which is the medium of contract between humans and extraordinary creatures. After the contract between humans and supernatural beings, they can communicate with each other and use their unique powers to accomplish things that human beings cannot reach. For example, releasing laser radiation, changing body shape, or replicating oneself to go to school. With the addition of extraordinary creatures, the progress of human society can be described as rapid. Moving bricks and building houses with beasts is the basic practice. Furthermore, there are applications of extraordinary powers in scientific research, studying climate change in the sky, and observing fish migration in the sea. Finally, returning to life, various pet snack shops and extraordinary biological beauty shops are everywhere. Now Sufan also understood why the Mother Lord was very different from what he saw. After a while, my parents are all from 10 years ago. Even Guzzi is a superpowered dog with extraordinary power. What are you staring at? Mon Chen-yi couldn't help but urge her as she watched her absent-minded eating. Look less at your phone and focus on eating. Your mother is right, come and have an egg to grow your body. Su's father kindly peeled an egg and put it into Sufan's bowl. Thank you, Dad. Sufan tugged at the corner of his mouth, looking at the magnificent living room that had been decorated, and couldn't help but recall the bitter life of this place for 10 years. That's right. In the previous world, her family went bankrupt. I moved all the way from a spacious few hundred square meter small foreign building to an old and dilapidated house, where I spent the following 10 years of ups and downs. Mother Chen-yi maintained an excellent appearance and body, which turned into a yellow-faced woman in 10 years, and the strong and tall father, Su Guoqing, also suffered from lumbar disc herniation due to years of carrying goods and pressing his back. At that time, I was naive and fell from the clouds, not knowing what to do. Later, when I was looking for a job, I struggled and didn't understand my parents' heartbreak. After enduring for 10 years, a family gradually emerged. This has always been a knot in her heart. If I had been more sensible at that time, would my parents have had a lighter burden of living? But it's okay. She returned to her youthful years. And at this point, her family had not yet gone bankrupt, and she didn't know if the world would develop according to its original course. But she can definitely sneak around and prepare herself to prevent the bankruptcy crisis of the Su family from happening again. However, she never cares about family matters, and whether she can prevent success is also a question. Even if it cannot be stopped, the risk of a fiscal deficit after bankruptcy must be reduced. So she enthusiastically asked, "Mom, what day is it today?" Get the date, calculate the time, and prepare early. On the 15th, what's wrong? 15. Sufan's heart thumped. How many months? March. Su Guiqing glanced at his daughter and said, "You forgot, you still have 3 months left before the high school entrance exam. Yeah, hurry up and review. You don't need to take the high school entrance exam, you have to take the regular high school entrance exam." Woo woof. Sufan's mind was buzzing, automatically excluding other words. March 15th. March 15th. Ha ha ha. What should she say? At 1 p.m. this afternoon, the Su family officially went bankrupt. Sufan. 6. Newcomer's new book. I hope everyone can comment and collect more. See, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. The Su family bankrupts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. The Su family bankrupts Linjiang City. Happiness Middle School Grade 3 class. Break between classes. Hey, why didn't Sufan come? What else can we do? I'm on leave now. Why take leave? Don't you know? What? Her family has gone bankrupt. What? Bankruptcy. Yeah, overnight, all the companies went bankrupt. My mom is from a bank and she said, "How much money did you lose?" Ah. No wonder she didn't come today. That's not crying so hard. What's more? Do you know what the most embarrassing thing is? Hey, I've heard about this. Yesterday, she and her mother both picked their favorite pets, but their bank cards were frozen and they couldn't make any money, so they had to refund. That's really a loss of life. Do you think she can come to school? If I were Sufan, I would. Shoo, she's here. The classroom is silent as a cicada, and everyone is doing their own thing. They all pretend to be very busy. Facing the elusive gaze of a classroom member, Sufan calmly walked to his seat, opened his backpack, took out his notes, and diligently reviewed. After a while, seeing that the protagonist of the bankruptcy center showed no signs of madness or heartbreak, a few people in the back row began to discuss. You say, why is she so calm? Oh my goodness, she used to have poor grades. She used to have money at home, but now she's all poor. It's already the 3rd year of junior high school. In 5 more months, I'll be in high school, okay? She hasn't been second to last in her class recently. She has improved by 1 place, right? This progress is also the last. Have you ever seen a pig on a tree? A lack of effort in youth brings sorrow to bankrupts. Hold back. Sufan, who hadn't even flipped a page, almost couldn't laugh when he heard these words. If it weren't for her as the protagonist, she would have nagged these people for eternity no matter what. However, Sufan, with a bitter face, flipped the book forward 1 page. Why do we have to go back to school even if we have traveled through time? Extraordinary creatures have already penetrated into every aspect of human life, including the education industry. So, Sufan, who was a scumbag in his previous life and still a scumbag in this life, is dumbfounded. Compared to the rainy weather in tropical rainforests, why does Laughing Lily prefer a dry and less rainy environment in the desert? Note that this question is more about liking rather than adapting. The talent skill of laughing Suzuki is to solve 1,000 worries with just one smile, and only in drought and no rain can it have a certain chance of stimulating this talent. This talent can to some extent influence the appearance of the laughing lily of the rings, which is a natural beauty control, so compared to tropical rainforests, they prefer deserts. Of course, when answering formally, it is only necessary to explain the connection between talent skills and the appearance of the laughing lily of the rings. So when was the Pet Beast Code promulgated? What was the reason for its promulgation? The Guangming Chronicle was promulgated on December 12, following the trend of historical development, and the movement to protect the rights of pet animals reached its peak. Human beings re-examine the relationship between themselves and pets, and value the contributions of pets in human society, while also paying attention to the rights they should enjoy. Pay attention, there is a slip of the tongue here. It is a supernatural creature that can only be called a pet beast after the contract. How to distinguish the laughter and crying of shy flowers in the laboratory? Just collect the gas emitted by the shy flower and release it back to it. If a shy flower blooms, it represents laughter; if the leaves fall off, it represents crying. Note that laughing gas and crying gas have a significant biological response, so be aware of the risk of inhalation when handling. She is a foreign resident, sorry to bother you. If she had worn it earlier, she could still enjoy a few days of being a wealthy second generation. Now she only cares about herself. People are worn in the morning, and clothes are worn in the afternoon. Realizing that her family was on the verge of bankruptcy, Sufan had no good way to turn the tide. Firstly, she didn't know what the situation was with her own company, and secondly, she didn't know if there was any difference between her previous life and this life. But she also doesn't like the feeling of sitting idly by. So, collect as much wool as you can. She recently turned 15 years old and has awakened to the imperial emblem, possessing the qualification of a contracted extraordinary creature. You Beast is the main melody of Blue Star. If her family cannot escape the fate of bankruptcy in the end, she can also make a comeback with her beloved Beast and revive the glory of the Su family. On the Blue Star, becoming a master of beast control means not worrying about money and power. But time is tight right now. The best way is to quickly contract an extraordinary creature with good potential and abilities as a pet beast. So she couldn't help but play hard, and the family of 3 happily went to the Extraordinary Beast Control Center to choose. At this moment, she had to admire the proverb of her ancestors. It was a blessing, not a disaster, and it was a disaster that could not be avoided. Who would have thought of encountering a business rival in the center? With a few sarcastic remarks, he accidentally revealed the financial situation of the Su family company, a large outflow of cash. It seems that the opponent understands the current situation of the company better than the chairman, Dad. Su Guiqing felt uneasy and immediately checked. Hee. Anyway, she just entered and exited the center, and she didn't even touch the hair of those extraordinary creatures. Sufan sighed, unsure of how much he could save a few hours earlier. But she knows that she tossed around for half a day yesterday and hasn't finished her homework yet. She asked for help from Dun Yang that night, sketching from life to death, and finally finished her homework. Unexpectedly, Sufan thought he could use his experience to kill all directions, but he still returned okay, the only thing that can comfort oneself is that I have gone from being a middle-aged social animal at the age of 25 to a young high school student at the age of 15. Revitalization, not bad. Just thinking about it with joy and hardship, Sufan reluctantly stuffed these unfamiliar knowledge into his mind. She is not actually stupid. It's just a luxurious life that wears away her will. In her previous life, she and the original owner of this life took the same first half of their lives, preparing to spend their entire lives waiting for death and wasting their student years. After bankruptcy, she deeply understood that reading was the best way out for an ordinary family. Bankruptcy means bankruptcy, crying is useless. The urgent task now is to bring up learning. The best learning resources can only be obtained by grasping the beast with both hands while reading. So the next day, she came with a backpack on her back, honking and honking. However, do you want her to be an earthling and complete all the animal knowledge of Xiaoqiu in 5 months, and then get into a high school? Maybe it's really a bit difficult. Because key high schools have certain animal protection standards. To guard beasts, there must be an extraordinary creature. Sufan rubbed the plum blossom mark on her palm, which was her imperial emblem. My parents said they would find her another better extraordinary creature as a pet, but Sufan was skeptical about it. She knew about it at home, and now the whole family has moved out of the villa, squeezed into a cramped small room. Conservatively speaking, a cash flow of 100,000 blue star coins may not necessarily be available. These extraordinary creatures with some combat power are all worth a minimum of 100,000. Not to mention the subsequent investment in cultivation. However, Sufan felt that with the help of extraordinary creatures, she could rely on her own subsidies for training expenses without having to tighten her parents' belts to support her. Just thinking about it, a shadow cast over my head. Hello, are you Sufan? The one whose family went bankrupt. Newcomers and new books, treasure children, collect and comment more, end of this chapter. Chapter 3. Is really a good strategy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 is really a good strategy. Who called her? Sufan looked up at the newcomer in confusion. The girl in front of her was domineering, her eyebrows full of pride, and there was a hint of schadenfreude. At first glance, it doesn't seem like good criticism. What can I do for you? The girl frowned and spoke in a bad tone. Why don't you pretend to know me? I'll ask you, what face do you have and still stay at school? Sufan. Who is pretending that they don't know each other? If you really recognize me, why don't you ask if I'm Sufan? You can't just pretend not to know each other, just pretend to be authoritative. After roast, Sufan did not lose. Excuse me, is this related to you? Is it not related to school whether she can attend school or not? What is it about her as a student? You. What a big breath. The girl's eyes widened as she dared to retort, as if she was about to burst out with fire. Your family is bankrupt. What qualifications do you have to stay at the same school as me? Oh, it's here. I feel that studying with her, a bankrupt, has caused air prices to drop. She remembered that the person in front of her who was causing trouble was Songyu. Now it seems that in my past and present life, I have always been at odds with her, always looking down on her and liking to oppose her the most. She is inverted, and Songyu is the first year of the year. After the high school entrance examination, one went to a vocational high school and the other went to a prestigious high school, and they separated like this. Songyu never bothered her again. Looking back now, her lively face is truly nostalgic. However, whether or not one is qualified is determined by the school, Sufan said expressionlessly as he lowered his head to read again. The rule of this private high school is to pay a large amount of tuition fees in one semester, without having to pay various miscellaneous fees afterwards. So even if the Su family goes bankrupt, she doesn't need to spend any more money on school. This semester, she can still continue attending this school. But it's better to have one less thing than one more thing, she added. Don't worry, it's already 3rd year of junior high school. After finishing this semester, we'll go our separate ways. Oh, really? Songyu clearly didn't believe it, but from this perspective, it was obvious that it couldn't hurt Sufan. She changed her perspective. Sufan, I heard you haven't contracted any extraordinary creatures yet. Sufan remained silent. Gigi. A furry sensation came from her hand, and she instinctively looked over. The little guy stood upright, his mouth bulging, his cheeks moving, and his big blue eyes full of curiosity. Foam Liankala, Sufan recognized at a glance that this was the extraordinary creature she was planning to go to the center to see yesterday. Unexpectedly, it has already been contracted by Song Yu. And at this moment, a voice rang out in her mind at the right moment, extraordinary illustrated guide for you to open, detected. Fenglian Kila, perfect, power level. E. Level, spiritual power. E. Level, power. Level E, speed. D. Level, potential. D. Level, contract situation. Already contracted, attribute. Wind, 5% Qinghuan blood, ice, skills. Tail spin, beginner, claw strike, beginner, wind speed, beginner, ice breath, beginner, points. None, unlocked due to inability to contract, comprehensive evaluation. Famous flower blossoms, contract not recommended. After a brief pause, Sufan's heart pounded. With a thought in her mind, she looked up at the newcomer and frowned, saying, "What exactly do you want to do?" "Me. You can't pretend to understand." Song Yu hugged his arms and snorted from his nose. Feng Liankala and the Beast Master had a mutual understanding and ran to her shoulder to make a face at Sufan. A faint blue light flashed over the shiny fur, and a large tail swung along with it in a dazzling manner. "I want you to leave school." Sufan bluntly refused. "I can't do it. I can't decide on transferring schools myself. If you mention it, it's useless." If Song Yu really can't bear to see her at school, he can naturally use his family's influence to make her go, which is not acceptable. So he came over and forced her to leave. But this plan fell through. Sufan is such a big adult, how could she be stirred up by a child? Song Yu frowned, but his heart was filled with joy, praising his grandfather. The method taught by her grandfather was indeed effective. Playing to get, that's how it's used. First, give an unacceptable condition, then take a step back. The condition proposed at that time, which is your true goal, is more likely to make the other party nod and agree. Okay. That's it. Song Yu slapped the table and said fiercely, "Let's make a bet. If you score higher than me in the national exam the day after tomorrow, not only will I not trouble you, but I will also give you an extraordinary creature. Similarly, if you are lower than me, then you can be my follower and completely follow my instructions, from middle school to high school, for 3 years. How about it? Do you dare to bet?" Strange. Fenglian Kila also started to cheer for his beast tamer. Sufan. Does she look like some kind of intellectual disability? Why does she insist on agreeing to the conditions of digging big holes 1 or 2? In his past life, Song Yu also asked her about these strange gambling contracts. She couldn't understand what this university bully had in mind besides knowledge. "I dare not." Sufan tilted his head and looked puzzled. "Why do I have to bet with you?" "Then you're just a coward." "That's right." Sufan nodded, his gaze not even moving away from the book. "It's not fair for you to dig such a big hole for me. Why should I bet on you?" "Unfair." Song Yu understood with just a little thought. With Sufan's score, no matter how hard it is, she won't be able to pass the exam. There is no doubt that she will lose. How could she be hooked? So what do you say to do? Give Sufan the right to choose and give her ample room to choose, as long as you ensure that she absolutely wins over Sufan. Both parties are satisfied with this type of gambling agreement. Tomorrow at the Extraordinary Cultivation Base, there will be a competition to identify extraordinary creatures. We can compete to see who recognizes more extraordinary creatures. If you win, then I will be your follower. If you lose, then you will give me an extraordinary creature, but it must be my own choice. Song Yu couldn't quite grasp this degree, so she opened her 5 fingers. 500000, you can only choose within this range. Deal. The concept of an extraordinary breeding base and an extraordinary beast control center is not the same. The former is a place for cultivating and educating extraordinary creatures, mainly responsible for raising newborn extraordinary cubs and training them for social education, such as not attacking humans. When the cubs reach a certain age, they will be sent to the Extraordinary Beast Control Center, where they will wait for their beast control master to buy them. As for this competition, that was also revealed by the staff during a chat yesterday when we went to the center with our family to select our favorite pet. The reward for the competition is an indefinite shopping voucher, and the winner can freely select pet beasts within the price range at the Beast Center. She originally planned to go there and try her luck. Who knew that Song Yu bumped into it, and thinking of the sudden appearance of the Extraordinary Guidebook, Sufan felt a little more confident in his heart. Kill two birds with one arrow, what a great strategy. Readers, how much support do you have? End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The illustrated guide is a golden finger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The illustrated guide is a golden finger garden community. On the way home, Sufan rubbed the plum blossom mark in her palm, which was her imperial tattoo. After making a bet with Song Yu, she used the pretext of friendly friendship to touch each of the pet beasts of the animal tamers in her class one by one. It has to be said that thanks to her previous bold behavior, few people dare to openly refuse her. And the Extraordinary Guidebook of Golden Fingers gave her a great surprise. As long as you touch an extraordinary creature, the guidebook can automatically provide its relevant information. For example, now a shadow cat emerges from the flower bed and rubs against her feet. Sufan took out the ham sausage that her classmate in the back seat gave her and fed it to this little guy. It obediently extended its head over. Extraordinary illustrated guide for you to open, detected. Shadow cat, elite, power level. E.level, spiritual power. E.level, power. Level E, speed. D.level, potential. E.level, contract situation. Not yet contracted, attribute. Shadow, skills. Tail blade, beginner, claw strike, mastery, invisibility, beginner, points. None, unable to unlock due to your lack of contract, comprehensive evaluation. Where is the end of the world without grass, contract not recommended, elite quality. The talents of extraordinary creatures on Blue Star are divided into 6 types. Ordinary, elite, perfect, legendary, epic, and mythological. Each type of talent determines the growth limit of extraordinary creatures and is closely related to their ultimate combat power level. The combat power level of Blue Star is divided into 7 levels. S, A, B, C, D, E, and F. The growth limit of ordinary talents for extraordinary creatures is E level, and so on. The most powerful beast tamer on Blue Star's pet only reaches S level. From this, it can be seen that if this shadow cat is well cultivated, it may reach level C in the future. However, the higher the cultivation, the more resources are needed, and it becomes more difficult to reach the limit of growth. No wonder the guidebook does not recommend contracts. Apart from having a good talent, this shadow cat's other abilities barely cross the line and are not particularly outstanding. It is estimated that it will be even more difficult to reach its growth limit. This guidebook system, which detects the ability data of extraordinary creatures, is convenient for learning about other extraordinary creatures, except that only one's own contract partners can unlock all the points. Adding skills makes you sound invincible. As for comprehensive evaluation. For reference only, be good, eat slowly. The shadow cat savored the delicious food in big gulps, its ears twitched alertly twice, and then picked up the ham sausage and ran into the flower bed to hide. Has anyone come over? Being puzzled, Sufan heard a familiar voice from his mother Chin-E behind him. Feed the cat so late. Hurry up and go home for dinner. Got it. Nowadays, it's not like before. Only by studying hard can we have a good life. Well, I got it. There are already signs of things happening at home, so you don't have to worry too much. Your father and I are also prepared for this outcome. I got it. You know to keep a low profile at school every day, don't argue with people casually. If someone says something in front of you, you go home and tell us, and your parents will vent their anger on you. It's okay, Mom. I have a good reputation at school. Anyway, remember, you never suffered any injustice before, and now you still don't feel wronged. Alright, I got it. Oh, we're home now. Just as she entered the house, a chubby white cat sat on her chair, holding chopsticks in its paws, while her father, Su Guiqing, was smiling and tying a napkin for it. What a fat cat. Does Garfield enter the real world? Ding dang. The chopsticks fell crisp onto the dining table, and the white cat straightened its little scarf and turned its head to glare fiercely at Sufan. So much so that the round cat face became even cuter. An exclamation of surprise caught the attention of one person and one beast. Su Guiqing greeted with a smile, Fan Fan has returned home. Come, hurry up and have dinner. Fat Cat Sesame snorted extremely discontentedly, meow. Chenny picked up a cat's head and said, what are you shouting at? See how fat you are. She turned to Sufan and said, I just brought it back from the gym. At this moment, Sufan also realized that the pet animal fitness at home is paid by the hour, and if he goes bankrupt, he cannot afford to pay for the pet animal fitness. His parents simply took it home. Since Rice Dumpling is Mom's pet, this fat cat should be Dad's pet. She retorted to her mother's words with a smile, leaned over, and rubbed her hard against the unfriendly gaze of the chubby cat. Where did you get fat? You're not fat at all. Extraordinary illustrated guide for you to open, detected. Snowball meow, normal, power level. E.level, spiritual power. E.level, power. Level E, speed. Level E, potential. E.level, contract situation. Already contracted, attribute. Water, skills. Water ball, beginner, bubble attack, beginner, claw attack, beginner, points. None, cannot be unlocked due to your inability to contract, comprehensive evaluation. Extraordinary creatures that cannot be found after being thrown into a pile of cats, contract not recommended. Oh, what a cool and graceful cat with a jade tree in the wind. Sufan boasted vigorously, and Sesame's heart was filled with joy. Meow. Is it really so handsome? Since it had all praised like this, it was too embarrassed to give Sufan any more face. It comfortably squinted its eyes and enjoyed the service of the young beast master. Rice Dumpling, who was feasting on the food, looked at the interaction between the two. Some toothache made her eyes shut and showed her teeth. It quickly picked up the pork ribs in front of it while Sesame was not paying attention. Hee hee, if you don't eat it again, it will cool down. If it cools down, it will lose its original taste. To ensure the delicious taste of the food, it just laughs and accepts it. Don't thank it. Alright, hurry up and have a meal. Chenny looked at the happy appearance of the family, as if she had not been affected by the bankruptcy incident. Her tense nerves relaxed slightly. She asked Sufan, are there any extraordinary creatures who want a contract? Sufan chuckled and said, is the dragon style okay? I think the dragon style is quite imposing. After a moment of silence at the dinner table, the couple exchanged glances with a dog and a cat. Su Guiqing gestured with his eyes and smiled, saying, then you sold us all and couldn't even make up for the price of buying the Dragon series. Let me tell you, I haven't figured out which one to choose yet. Although it was a joke, Chen Yi could sense something else from it. Sufan saw that his parents were going to say something again and quickly said, oh, let me take a look. At the same time, the Song family was brightly lit. Song Yu stood at the old man's desk with his hands behind his back, telling him his plan in a systematic manner. Foam Liankala squatted on her shoulder, focused on nibbling on the fruit. Her 7 or 8-month-old pet beast loved to stick to her own pet master. The old man listened attentively, nodded, and raised his own question. Her grades are not good, and even if she can improve in the end, getting into a prestigious high school is enough. If she can't get into it, what should she do? Song Yu blinked his eyes. What can he do? Who made Sufan's grades too poor? I can only use my own brain to get Sufan in. Being a class attendant, of course, can only be done in the same school. After listening to her plan, the old man's face twitched twice. He carefully recalled the past. Did he not cultivate children in the field of philanthropy, did he? Why is Song Yu's performance different from what he thinks? Fortunately, the little girl named Sufan didn't know her plans. But the exchange of these two gambling agreements hasn't changed much either. Song Yu is still going to do charity. After a moment in his heart, the old man put on his reading glasses and kindly said. Why does it have to be Sufan? Why is my precious granddaughter staring at Sufan? Why can't she see so many classmates, beautiful, gentle, intelligent, and so many outstanding people? Always against Sufan, but the two didn't look down on each other either. It doesn't seem like she hates Sufan, but you advise her to make friends with Sufan, but she doesn't want to. The old man couldn't understand what was going on in his mind. Ah! This 1-inch Song Yu didn't know what came to his mind, blinked his eyes, and said mysteriously. Confidentiality. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Cola loves drinking cola. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Cola loves drinking cola. Pan Jinxiu got up early in the morning and was busy checking the health of the extraordinary cubs at the base. She was particularly careful today. Because today is the official start date of the first extraordinary biometric identification competition held by the base, also known as, I Have a Date with Extraordinary. She is a trainer hired by the base, and it is her responsibility to ensure the mental and physical health of the children. On this auspicious day, this matter is particularly important. After handing over the work, she started patrolling the house according to the previous progress. The little ones have woken up long ago, playing games loudly. They are in their prime of energy and have to run errands every day. She needs to be careful. Arriving at the cultivation area of Shuyue Miao, the extraordinary cubs here eat and sleep, sit or lie down without any hesitation, and do not cast a glance at her arrival. Shuyue Miao. The nanny comes to clean up. Isn't this something that must be done every day? What's so much fuss about? But Pan Jinxiu has her own way. She blew the whistle hanging from her neck, 3 long and 3 short. The little ones perked up and sat in rows, their yellow eyes shining brightly at her. Thank you, trainer. Pan Jinxiu bowed in her heart. After carefully checking each one, she noted, good, in her notebook and counted again. 20.1. Okay, one little guy is missing. She had a plan in her mind and blew a whistle, and the other cats dispersed in a bird and beast-like manner. Pan Jinxiu skillfully approached the big tree in the center of the training area and looked up. Oh, I found it. A black figure fell silently in her eyes. I'm coming down to check. She shouted, and the figure moved from left to right, but there was still no response. Then I'll wait for you below. If you don't come down, I won't leave. Pan Jinxiu almost said these words with a smile, knowing that this little guy would definitely let go in the end. As expected, a crisp voice drifted down from the top of my head, feeling a bit depressed and helpless. This sparse moon meow finally compromised. It is the thorn in the base, known for its flexible instructions. If the trainer is not here, it will go its own way, and even if others shout to break the sky, it will not listen to you. As soon as the trainer arrived, it became the top student with the highest completion rate among all the cubs. He's just a little tyrant. Pan Jinxiu lifted its back neck and cursed with a smile. Look at you. I know you don't want to be here, but you're not old yet. Why are you in such a hurry? Just feel comfortable for a few more days. After spending so much time together, she also felt some thoughts about this little guy. It is tired of living in the training area day after day and hopes to explore other places. However, this cannot be changed according to its wishes. One is that they are not yet old enough to go to the center, and the other is that the base seems to have an intention to keep the best trained extraordinary creatures in their own hands, in order to do a good job in training or breeding the next generation. This Shuyue Miao definitely doesn't know these things. It's grabbing Pan Jinshio's hand and trying to come down. It doesn't want face. How does this make it stand tall in front of little brothers and sisters? Okay, everything is normal, okay. After writing down the last data in the notebook, Pan Jinshio looked at the back of the person who was about to climb the tree and smiled, saying, "Zero, do you want to go out and take a look with me?" Adhering to the concept of giving them a name is the beginning of fate, the base will not give them a name, only a code name to call them, and the sparse moon cat in front of us is number 0. Zero's figure paused and turned to look at Pan Jinshio with suspicion. Monthly. Is it really fake? Can you really go out and take a look? Are you not lying to me? Of course. She took out a metal ring and put it on its neck. This is also the meaning of the base, to have a few supernatural creatures with good mental appearance freely move around, to open up awareness for the base, and to divert consumers from the beast control center. This is the locator to avoid the loss of extraordinary creatures. Don't worry, wearing this will allow you to move freely in the base. Don't you always want to go out and take a look? Alright, come with me. I still have some tasks. Today she also needs to focus on ensuring the physical condition of those extraordinary creatures participating in the competition. There is no rule in the competition that one cannot touch extraordinary creatures. She thought that there would be some people who would occasionally take a look and clap to identify its species. This kind of operation is actually an inexplicable disturbance for extraordinary creatures, which may cause their emotions to become unstable and lead to some unexpected changes. So the extraordinary creatures selected by the base are either Buddhists who don't like to communicate, or they are already sensible and won't argue with others. However, it's not safe yet. Emotions can be contagious. She needs to ensure that the little ones have strong psychological resilience and try not to be infected by strong emotions from external audiences. Zero tugged at the collar, hesitated for a moment, and with a calm heart, followed Pan Jinshio out. Fortunately, everything went smoothly. It quickly got lost. Monthly. It's not really its fault. The things here are so strange that it doesn't know where to go. Damn it. Looking at the big tree not far away, it thought, stand tall and see far, why not try climbing up? Two girls walked over from the corner. One girl had a proud expression and didn't look askance, while the other girl felt a bit helpless, saying something while her clear eyes looked around. Sufan shook the cola in his hand and took a drink with foam. Anyway, thank you for bringing me over today, otherwise I won't be able to register in time. Who knew that the breeding base was actually in the suburbs, and her bicycle was flying with sparks and lightning all the way, and then it fell off the chain halfway. If it weren't for the chance encounter with Songyu, she would have had to go to great lengths again. However, due to this matter, the two of them are not as dry as before. Songyu raised her eyebrows, but didn't say anything. She changed the topic. There's still time to give up now. Sufan was surprised and said, since I made a bet, no one knows the outcome until the last moment. I won't give up the other 50%. So if you lose, do you still expect pets to fall from the sky? What, I came here just to run for the pet beast. She looked around and ran to the bottom of a tree, pointing to it and saying, maybe someone will fall from the tree. Month. A crisp and tender voice came from above, with doubts and curiosity. I saw green leaves swaying between the branches above my head, with mottled light and shadow, and a vigorous figure pacing among them. Sufan lifted his head and looked straight at his pair of green round eyes, like a lake on a summer night. Sufan's head exploded. According to her words, she was an extraterrestrial fairy. leaving the mud without staining, washing the clear ripples without being demonic. The black fur under backlight blurs out a faint halo, all 4 feet are white, as if wearing white gauze gloves. There is also a white cloud pattern on its forehead, and those round cat eyes, even purer and brighter than turquoise, were full of lively colors. Lin meow meow. Is there a forest cat falling from the sky? She suddenly felt at a loss, unsure of how much she had seen from her previous behavior, which should have been foolish and awkward. That one, are you coming down to play? She took a step back and raised her hands, I'll catch you. Month 0 raised her paws as a sign of refusal, then jumped up and landed lightly, curiously surveying Sufan. Hello, my name is Sufan. Sufan inexplicably felt that this little fairy understood its words and had to introduce herself. Seeing it staring at the cola in its hand again, it tentatively asked. Do you want to drink this? She shook the bottle, and the black liquid gave out yellow foam. 0 moved her ears, and the fine and fragmented sound was quite pleasant. So it sat down and extended its paw, saying, Moon. You begged me like this, so I'll just give it a try. Okay, extraordinary creatures should be able to drink cola, right? I just saw Song use foam Liankala holding and drinking happily. For safety reasons, she waved to Song Yu and said, this extraordinary creature at this age should be able to drink cola, right? Song Yu thought she was going to ask some technical questions, but suddenly choked a bit. As he spoke, he felt angry. No, they only drink jade syrup. Sufan filters automatically, removes the dross and takes the essence, pours the cola into the palm of his hand and sends it to him. Try it, this is the happy water for fat houses. Month 0 indicates that this is indeed barely accessible. Month. It symbolically licked its paws and asked Sufan for more. Because it's too forced, a little bit is enough. Okay. Just a little more. I love drinking cola so much, why don't I call you Cola? Cola loves drinking cola. End of this chapter. Chapter 6 Massage. I am very skilled. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Massage. I am very skilled, do you call it Coca-Cola? Sufan and Song Yu walked shoulder to shoulder towards the competition venue and nodded upon hearing the words. Yeah, what's wrong? Why do you call it cola? Because I want a contract. Turns out she knows. Song Yu calmed down and glanced at Sufan again. What are you looking at me for? Is there any gold on my face? Sufan touched his face and smiled at Song Yu, don't worry, sometimes it's just so magical. You know it must be it when you see it. Song Yu turned his head and hummed a sound from his nose, not wanting to talk to her. According to the rules, I went to the side of the venue and received a number plate. Song Yu number 11 and Sufan number 12 happened to be in a group. I found a vacant seat in the audience and sat down peacefully. They arrived relatively early, and there weren't many people in the audience. Of course, it could also be because the base didn't advertise much. Sufan believes that this base is the one with a black heart. Speaking of facing society and selecting contestants, in reality, its competition requirements are completely set for middle and high school students. 2 or more animal trainers are not allowed to participate in the contract, veterans over 18 years old are not eligible to participate in the competition. The promotion of this competition was also carried out in secondary schools, and many families came to watch the competition with their children. The student families in these schools have an average consumption level and are willing to buy a relatively good extraordinary creature to give to their children. As a source of extraordinary biological supply, its credit goes without saying. In this way, the customer flow is fixed. Sufan sighed on his cheek, it's a pity to have met her after so many brave warriors. Although the organizers mentioned individual participation, it was evident that several students from different schools came together wearing school uniforms. Red, blue, white. A few middle-aged men and women in casual clothes stood among them, saying something. Sufan bumped Song Yu with his elbow and said, "Do you think it looks like a teaching director or homeroom teacher in a private interview?" Song Yu looked up and down, and the most contestants were several high schools in the city with some strength. The other junior high school students probably came to see the world with students who are qualified for the contract. These high school students usually already have a pet beast, probably looking for extraordinary creatures in the base. She thought for a moment and said, "Moreover, high school teachers in the city are more responsible than middle school teachers. They will take the initiative to provide reference for students." Sufan didn't see the shadow of Chonggao inside. "Aren't Chonggao's students coming?" Song Yudao said, "The emphasis on high school is in class." Sufan felt guilty for a moment, indeed forgetting that the students still have class today. As the top-ranked high school in the province, they definitely don't deserve such a small competition, and they don't lack the money to get good extraordinary creatures. In comparison, studying in class is definitely a priority. Okay, I originally wanted to see the strength of future senior students, but what's strange about it? A strange thought flashed through Sufan's mind, and after a few twists, he was attracted by the powerful and solemn music. The competition is about to start. Alright, now the audience and contestants off the field have all arrived. The base manager and host came up to warm up. "Meeting is fate, we gather here to compete on the same stage. I announce. The annual Extraordinary Biological Identification Competition is starting now." As his words fell, a huge green bird took off. The radiance of the sun shines on its magnificent and solemn ink feathers, and the colorful light instantly covers the entire venue. And the blue bird, dressed in a neon robe, circled in the sky, scattering a little golden light with its crisp chirping. Then he pounced down with his wings folded, and the host timely extended an arm. The bird suddenly shrank and affectionately stopped on his arm. The audience warmly applauded and said, "Okay. The competition has officially begun." Due to the large number of people, the competition adopts an elimination system to advance, and the one who identifies the most extraordinary creatures within the specified time will win. The base has divided 5 competition venues, and according to the official instructions, they will be the second round of the first venue competition. Time flies by. By the time they arrived at the competition venue, the first round of the competition had already ended. "Good guy." Sufan looked at the battle table and it was 15-1 okay, under normal circumstances. The referee had already whistled for the next group to prepare, and before going on stage, Sufan seemed to think of something and turned around to call her. "Song Yu." Higher, faster, stronger. Chew, the competition is starting." Sufan walked into the competition venue and saw various extraordinary creatures lying on the green grass. Either squint, yawn or play with the tail in a boring way, or flip out the grass to take a look. They don't care much about Sufan's appearance. Sufan guessed that some of these extraordinary creatures had already been greeted, so it shouldn't be too much to ask for a touch, right? She caught sight of a ball of narcissus, with a white bulb supporting a green seedling and a small white flower bud on top that was about to fall. The little one blew his mouth one by one, and the small flower buds hanging down moved up and down. "Just look at it and you'll know you're a silly kid." She took 2 steps, squatted down, thought for a moment, and spoke. "Don't miss out on passing by, Su-style excellent free massage. Keep your bones and flesh tender, your hair shiny, and your taste. Become a graceful beast. The authentic craftsmanship has been passed down for 300 years, and it's said to be good to use it. First come, first served, the top 100 applicants have advanced guidance." Advanced guidance. Is it really fake? In an instant, the surrounding atmosphere suddenly changed, the temperature suddenly dropped, and the cool eye blades drifted back and forth. The ball and daffodil trembled, and Black Bean's big eyes scanned around. "Who? Who's going to sneak attack it? Ouch. Suddenly facing Sufan's shiny black eyes, the ball-shaped narcissus shook again. It looked around again, but in the end, it didn't notice any other extraordinary creatures around. The small flower bud shook and finally pointed to itself. Ball. That's right. It's you. Sufan lowered his voice and said mysteriously, "Do you want a massage? Do you want to advance?" Ball. Ball. Its eyes lit up and it nodded wildly. Advanced is the ideal of every extraordinary creature, who doesn't like to become stronger. But it has some doubts. Is the person in front of it really okay? Massage. What is that thing? Cough cough. Due to its overly obvious gaze, Sufan moved twice. Believe me, my massage skills are unparalleled in the world. With my guidance, the extraordinary creatures have smooth muscles and meridians, and advancing is as easy as palm of hand. There are discounts now, and the top 100 people can enjoy free massage services on a first-come, first-served basis. You are my first customer. Advancing is just around the corner. The ball and narcissus shook visibly, and in the end, it nodded. Extraordinary illustrated guide for you to open, detected. Ball narcissus, normal, power level. E.level, spiritual power. E.level, power. Level E, speed. Level E, potential. D.level, contract situation. Not yet contracted, attribute. Plant, skills. Leaf blade, beginner, blossom, beginner, sleep, beginner, points. None, unable to unlock due to your lack of contract, comprehensive evaluation. 2 ordinary, contract not recommended, I have the picture book in hand, and I have the information. According to the information provided in the guidebook, Sufan calmly reported its identity, and the referee standing on the side recorded the number with a wooden face. Other extraordinary creatures don't care about these things. They pretend to be busy, but in reality, they listen to the movements of the ball and narcissus one by one with their ears perked up. Thanks to years of experience in massaging her parents, Sufan adjusted the intensity and urgency in a timely manner, and the ball narcissus hummed comfortably. I wish I could ascend to the sky in the next second. After a round of massage, the ball narcissus felt completely transparent, hearing and seeing clearly, and a constant stream of power surged up, swinging a blade. The chilling blade of the blade slashed out, creating a fierce wind. Ball. It is now so powerful and terrifying. The beasts were surprised. This is exactly the manifestation of skill progress. Is there really someone who can promote their advancement through a set of massage techniques? Examples of ball and narcissus are all in front of us. Xia watched with envy as the ball and narcissus turned into swans in place, imagining the beautiful scenery of wandering for 9 days and soaring thousands of miles in the future. Just like that bluebird. Cough, do you want a massage? It's beneficial for advancement. Sufan's gentle words brought it back to its senses. Anen. Don't worry. If you can't use it, you won't be fooled. I'm just. 5 minutes later, Xia sighed comfortably. Extraordinary illustrated guide for you to open, detected. Xia elite, power level. E.level, spiritual power. Level D, power. Level E, speed. D.level, potential. D.level, contract situation. Not yet contracted, attribute. Wind, fire, skills. Wind blade, beginner, claw strike, mastery, diving, beginner, points. None, unable to unlock due to your lack of contract, comprehensive evaluation. Mo Cho has no extraordinary future ahead, no contract is recommended, 10 minutes later which other beast is coming? The 30th one. Okay, we're not in a hurry. Time is infinite. Time is infinite. Looking at the crowded group of extraordinary creatures ahead, Sufan had a thought. There must be no stampede. Readers, how many comments and collections are there? Omega, end of this chapter. Chapter 7. Easy Victory. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 7. Easy Victory. Sufan thought she was playing a low-key and high-level game, but in fact, since she gave the ball a Narcissus massage, off-court players and spectators gradually turned their attention to her. Oh my! How could I not have thought? These pet beasts are stupid. She's innocent. Didn't you see what pet she was looking for? There are more cunning creatures than lotus roots. Look at those few. Who is really slacking off? I just want to use this method. Oh my! I knew it wouldn't be shameful. Stupid, she violated the rules. Violation. Which I? The rules don't say you can touch extraordinary creatures. Did the rules say? The rules haven't even said that contestants can still hiccup and fart here. Hey. Anyway, I haven't played yet, whether she violates the rules or not has nothing to do with me. Oh, with just one mouth, I can fuck myself. Unfortunately lost. Oh, this ball Narcissus is quite tender, I want to make a contract. Ha ha ha. Look at this silly bear, ah. Look. It's working. Everyone has come over. Wow, that's really good. Will there be a stampede? Regarding this issue, Panjinshio stated that she will not. Because it's time. As soon as time came, she followed the trainer's instructions and stopped these slightly crazy extraordinary creatures. Indeed, at an advanced age, one can't resist temptation like young children. Panjinshio carefully guided them to calm down, while Kola crouched on her shoulder curiously watching these new faces. It has been staying in the cultivation area and has never seen so many strange shapes before. Interesting, really interesting. Kola tilted his head and glanced into the distance. Sufan was about to leave, but suddenly turned around and waved his hand at it with a smile. Kola's body stiffened and instinctively turned his head away. He suppressed the strange feeling in his heart and followed Panjinshio away. On the contrary, Su happily came to the sidelines. Today is really a great day. Within the prescribed 30 minutes, she successfully identified the species of 70.5 extraordinary creatures. Oh my, such a result is unmatched. The referee who had been staring at her all along watched her leave the field, feeling a little emotional. As the old saying goes, as long as one's thinking does not decline, there are always more solutions than difficulties. Is this one of the purposes of the competition held at the base? Who wouldn't know how to answer by looking at pictures? What we need is innovation. So, Song-yu, who followed the usual method of looking at pictures and answering, step by step, fell silent. She looked at the huge black screen at 75.45 and fell into a long silence. Could it be that Sufan focused all his intelligence on extraordinary beast control? How to explain this incredible number? It's a stark contrast to her grades. She thought so much that when Sufan walked up to her, he hadn't really regained his senses. Hello, Song-yu. You. Sufan carefully restrained the joyful expression on his face. Song-yu's dull expression is rare. Except for when we made a bet that day, our toes were high and we had a tough time talking when we met. This guy shouldn't have been hit, right? She has tried her best to control the number of identifications. This should be a number within the normal range. It's okay. Song-yu adjusted a bit, she was just very uncomfortable with unexpected things happening and was surprised for a moment. It's you, she looked at Sufan, her eyes not filled with anger and embarrassment, but rather with some surprise. After 3 days of farewell, I'll be waiting for you. Sufan said, hee, poverty makes people progress. Song-yu promised, you won, you can choose any extraordinary creature, oh by the way. If you further refine your knowledge of animal control and supplement your learning focus, you may be able to achieve a high level of success. That's for sure, we are alumni, Sufan led her to the audience. But it would be even better if we could win the first prize in this competition. Children make choices, adults certainly want everything. Winning Song Yu is certainly one of the goals, but winning the game is also important. The official news is definitely more accurate than the casual conversations of the staff at the Imperial Beast Center. The first prize winner in this competition will receive an optional ticket and a reward of 30,000 blue star coins. With this coupon, she can choose an extraordinary creature according to her heart in the base. Although there are certain restrictions, only one cub from 3 to 5 months old can be selected. But the age of Coca-Cola thinking of its lake like pure eyes, Sufan couldn't help but smile. You don't have to rush to fulfill our gambling agreement. Song Yu. Okay. I'll pretend not to hear what you're up to. As they spoke, the two of them sat back in their seats, waiting for the data on the large screen on stage to refresh. The base plans to complete the competition in one day, with each person competing and the data obtained being compared, and the highest one wins. Sufan can only say that this is indeed a small-scale activity. The screen quickly refreshes and eliminates one round at a time. Sufan's name is at the top of the list, and the unattainable data has also sparked a discussion, with everyone exclaiming that it is impossible. Oh my god, 75. Where did the drone come from? Sufan. Oh, she's the one who massages. Who? Who dares to gossip about her? Sufan's neck flexibly turned 90 degrees and stared straight at not far away. The boy with his back to her was oblivious, flying across the spittle stars from a group of classmates. Other students wearing blue and white school uniforms, like him, performed colorful facial makeup as his words fluctuated. She was just fooling the ball and daffodils at that time. Then a chain reaction exploded. They exclaimed in surprise and were convinced. Wow, this method works. I tried it. But who knows how to recognize over 70 types of pet beasts? The opportunity has been given, my goodness, my strength is here. They exclaimed in shock, heartbroken. What is the first prize, what is it? I knew I wouldn't have hidden it. They exclaimed in amazement and boasted about the sea. My true strength is not like this. I can do it too, I know 100 types. Wake up, is it 100 good harvests? Who knew this broken competition was only compared once? That's not what I said before. Upon seeing this, Song Yu also perked up his ears and listened, his brows furrowed together. She pointed at the screen with some amusement and said. So when they all come to you, you recognize them one by one. The base has placed several similar but different types of extraordinary creatures in the field. To further judge, Song Yu did not put in effort to establish a good relationship with them. As a result, these extraordinary creatures were not sure if they had been instructed or something. As she took a step closer, they scattered a bit, focusing on one that could only be observed from afar. She owes her current grades to the good eyes given by her parents. But Sufan turned herself into a sweet cake, with extraordinary creatures rushing to stick to her. People. Not human. Upon receiving Song Yu's teasing, Sufan turned his head, touched his face, and said deeply, with more people walking, it becomes a road, and rules are meant to be broken. Alright, you. Song Yu snorted, are you really planning to contract that Shuiwe Miao? Sufan said, yes, it's all called cola. Song Yu thought for a moment and said, I guess there's no problem. Thank you for your good words. Hey. The competition is over. As time flew by, with the last refresh of the big screen, Sufan's name firmly ranked first and Song Yu ranked third. The base commander and host came on stage with a smile on their face. He is certainly happy because so many people are willing to participate in the competition, not because waves of parents and teachers come to talk to them about cooperation. Okay, now let's invite our top 10 winners to come on stage and receive the award. The blue bird flew from the sky, playing cheerful songs loudly and loudly. Several extraordinary creatures took to the stage to show off their hands. Everyone present was in high spirits and kept cheering. Sufan held the small trophy and looked at the black crowd below, unconsciously drifting a few meters. She thought in a daze, first of all, it's really not bad. Seeking collections and comments, people, end of this chapter. Chapter 8. My Extraordinary Companion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. My Extraordinary Companion. Sufan followed the staff to the breeding area. There are currently 12 Shuiwa meows in the center, 3 of which are 12 months old. They have learned basic and intermediate skills such as invisibility, imprinting, and lunar magic. There are still 5, 7 or 8 months old, at a vibrant age, lively and agile, currently learning to practice basic skills. The remaining 4 are slightly smaller, relatively simple and active, and most of them have started consciously learning and releasing their skills. As Sufan approaches. Month. Meow. For a moment, there were constant sounds of chasing and fighting. For the 3 people who came in, they played on their own, bypassing Sufan's feet without any eye contact. Compared to the visible enthusiasm that other cubs surge up together, the Shuiwa cats are much colder. After all, Shuiwa meow has a bit of a cat-like habit, and everyone is tall and cold, beautiful and handsome. The staff explained and clapped their hands, making 3 heavy and 3 light sounds. The closest few Shuiwa cats stopped and surrounded them, sitting in rows. Oh, are these little guys just obedient like this? The trainer will conduct some obedience training. Would you like to take a look first? Contract is a two-way choice. Only when both the extraordinary creature and the beast tamer look at each other, can the contract fail if either party is unwilling. When choosing a contract pet beast, it is usually the first time that the beast tamer has a liking for it, and then they can explore it. Sufan expressed understanding, but she shook her head and asked directly. There's no extraordinary creature here that I want. What about the sparse moon cat with white cloud patterns on its forehead? White cloud pattern. Forehead. The staff are not familiar with this place. She used to work in the logistics and security department. Today, the base was understaffed, so she was temporarily transferred to help. She doesn't know these extraordinary creatures either. She glanced and her heart quickly cleared. Contracts are about fate. At Blue Star, the beast masters and extraordinary creatures choose each other. Those who come with purpose are less likely to change their minds, so it's better to follow the customer's orders. Indeed, some Shuiwa meow did not show up. We can look for it. That's right, maybe it hasn't returned yet. Yes, there's a metal ring around its neck. Metal ring. The staff's spirits lifted, she knew this. Isn't it just the flagship pet beast of the base? Those metal rings were still sent from her hand. There's a way to do this. The staff took out a walkie-talkie from their pocket and remained calm. Fourth, check the positions of several extraordinary creatures on the touring collar. Number. Oh, number 0. Received. Hanging up, the staff raised a bright smile and said, okay, please follow me. Pan Jinshio is preparing nutrient solution. In the cultivation area of Huaochi, there is a Huaochi who jumps and has low blood sugar overnight. He is now lying in the medical room hanging an intravenous drip and has some malnutrition. This culture medium is not for you to eat. She turned around and turned to the side of the cola, smiling. Why, are you hungry? Coca-Cola sat on the table, tilted his head to look at the bottles and cans on the table, and snorted. What? Someone's talking about you. You've been fussing around with me for a long time today. You can't go out, but unfortunately you don't like my son, and I don't even like my grandson. There's nothing I can do now. What? Do you have someone you like? Month. That's okay, bring me to take a look, and I'll pass it for you. Month, that depends on the two of you. Today's competition is also good, it gave you a chance to go out. Knocking. As he was speaking, the door knocked. The staff choked their throat and made a sweet voice, Teacher Pan, could you please open the door? Before Pan Jinshio could answer, Cola suddenly rushed to the door, jumped and twisted, and quickly slipped out. Then another surprised female voice suddenly sounded. Are you really here? What's wrong? Are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere? Moon, oh, okay. So it's this sparse moon meow. It's really the most beautiful one. Sufan touched the shiny fur and smiled, causing her head to bloom. Coca-Cola is a beautiful woman, she said, Cola. Sufan saw an old lady with gray hair walking out, and the staff respectfully shouted, Teacher Pan. Oh, just call me Mrs. Pan. Pan Jinshio smiled and waved her hand, then looked at the cola in Sufan's arms, and then at Sufan with a smile on her face. Is this bringing her to contract an extraordinary creature? The staff explained with a smile, and Pan Jinshio had some thoughts in her mind. She pointed to Cola and smiled, saying, You have a good eye, Cola. Delicious Cola. The name is nice. Month. Cola called out to Pan Jinshio and withdrew into Sufan's arms. Ha ha ha, he still talks back. The old lady asked Sufan, what is it saying? It means that you said the name well and it likes the meaning of the name. In fact, Coca-Cola is refuting that the name was derived from drinking Coca-Cola. But Sufan dare not tell the truth. Are you going to the lobby to register? Yeah, today there are many parents bringing their students to choose extraordinary creatures, and the hall is very lively. Pan Jinshio said that since there's nothing going on right now, why don't we go to the lobby together and see the excitement? The three of them walked together towards the hall. Pan Jinshio wanted to know how Sufan and Cola got to know each other, and Sufan answered with honesty. Sufan covered his mouth and fooled over the supplement of UU and UU in Coca-Cola. Pan Jinshio appeared to be in a good mood, nodding frequently and occasionally asking small questions. For example, Coca-Cola likes to see the scenery. How will you arrange the cultivation of Coca-Cola in the future? Do you like to see the scenery? No wonder the first time I saw it was in a tree. After a brief moment of trance, Sufan smiled and replied, I don't know. She rubbed Coca-Cola's furry head and pondered, I haven't been with Coca-Cola for long now. I will arrange training plans based on its personality in the future. Anyway, strength will always be a prerequisite for realizing dreams. However, similarly, I also enjoy the scenery, mountains, rivers, and vast deserts, which are also the blueprints I want to conquer. Pan Jinshio looked up at the front and nodded lightly, okay. Afterwards, she talked about other topics and occasionally talked about little knowledge about the cultivation of extraordinary organisms. Sufan estimated that this should be a master in extraordinary biological cultivation. Otherwise, the two of them would chat and chat along the way, and the staff wouldn't say a word. Unfortunately, at this point, they would start asking questions more frequently than she does. Realizing that this was an opportunity, Sufan began asking about the precautions for raising extraordinary cubs, which was actually Coca-Cola's advice. Pan Jinshio gently explained one by one, and finally took out a stack of documents from her arms and handed them to Sufan. Cola. These are some of my insights, maybe they will be helpful. Free cultivation master teaching methods. Sufan placed the cola on his head and freed his hand to take it, saying, Thank you. I will cultivate the cola well. Okay. Pan Jinshio responded with a smile. Staff. Does no one care about my life or death? This is Teacher Pan's information. Arriving all the way to the lobby, the registration personnel inquired about the opinions of both parties. Cola knows this is the fork in the road where Meow lives. It jumped down and sat on the counter, staring at Sufan Yuan's slippery black eyes. Meow. If it's a contract, can I go out and play? Can you take me to see the super invincible and beautiful scenery? Will you take me to eat a lot of delicious food? I heard from other sisters that there are beautiful scenery and delicious food that they can't eat. Super invincible, it's a stunning scenery I've never seen before. Super unbeatable delicious food. It has never been seen before. Can you take me out and take a look? Of course. Sufan smiled and reached out his hand to it, saying, thousands of miles of mountains and rivers, let's embrace together. After hesitating for a while, it carefully placed its paw in the palm of the plum blossom mark. Extraordinary illustrated guide for you to open, the extraordinary illustrated book is being updated, detected. Shuyue Meow, perfect 4 out of 10, power level. E.level, 7 out of 10, spiritual power. E.level, 5 out of 10, strength. Level E, 4/10, speed. E.class, 6/10, potential. E.level, 7 out of 10, contract situation. Currently under contract, properties. Shadow, ice, skills. Bite, beginner May 10th, invisibility, beginner June 10th, tail attack, beginner May 10th, phantom moon, not mastered 0 out of 10, ice blade, not mastered 0 out of 10, points. 10. Progress with your partners, comprehensive evaluation. It's up to you. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Is not even installed, is it? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 is not even installed, is it? Holding the freshly baked cola, Sufan happily came out. Just as he was about to take a taxi home, Songyu's Ferrari drove over. Didn't Songyu say he still had something to do and went back first? Why are you still here? Sufan was about to inquire when the car window rolled down, revealing his delicate and beautiful face. I got on the car and saw you off on your way home. So kind. Oh no, this is really a big bodhisattva. Sufan's eyes lit up and he refused with emotion. No need. I just contracted a cola and planned to walk slowly back and take it to have a good look. In the days before Coca-Cola, they were all in the breeding base, probably not seeing many people. Otherwise, at that time, Meow Grandma would have gotten lost in the big base. Sufan plans to bring it to the world. This blue star is not the square sky of the cultivation base. Blue star, enough for it to see. Although I have pitted my 2 legs, Coca-Cola has gained happiness. This stroke is good. Songyu understood. She nodded and shook her phone screen with a smile, hiding the familiar schadenfreude. Guess what happened when the homeroom teacher called just now? I'm clearly taking a day off today. Gone. Sufan's eyes suddenly widened. 2 hours later, Su Guoqing and Chen Yi, who were frantically searching for children, rushed to the teacher's office panting heavily. They flew all the way from the police station when they received the call. I called a silver dove and added 300 blue star coins to the already poor family. Sufan feels heartbroken. Then I was scolded by my parents for half an hour, and the remaining 1.5 hours were spent by the homeroom teacher who couldn't listen and let them go home to teach. Songyu stood in the corner of the doorway all the way, chasing after her without saying a word, and finally left satisfied. On the way home, Sufan sucked on the nose that had no runny nose and silently wiped away the eyes that had no tears, obtaining Chen Yi's eye knife. These 2 couples are doing well, facing her with wind, rain, and lightning while holding onto a cola, laughing until spring blossoms. Although they are the most bound couple, their treatment is indeed a win-win situation. Coca-Cola is unaware of the difficult situation of its own animal tamer, it only knows that its eyes are really hard to see. His eyes widened like copper bells, and the white cloud patterns unfolded accordingly. Red, like blooming, what is something inserted with a thin tree stick? Silly meow, that's hem sausage. What about that one? What is the black, round object taken out of the body of a refrigerator monster? Cola, that's a frozen pear. What is that velvet, slowly rolling into a big ball? That's cotton candy, it's so sweet and delicious. Do you want one? Month. Really? It wants to eat. Sufan didn't care about the reaction of the two elders at home. She ran over and bought 2 marshmallows. Moon and moon. You're welcome, eat while it's hot. Human affairs require 2 words. Food and drink. Coca-Cola likes pink, but Sufan keeps the white one for herself. She handed it to Chenyi first. Chenyi glanced at her and said, if you eat, you know how to eat. If you lose it one day, you don't know. Mom, what a mistake this time. Did I forget? And I know, I will take good care of myself. I will definitely not make it again next time. She handed the cotton candy to Su Guoqing again, who glanced at Chenyi's face and also stiffened his face. And next time. Do you still want to skip class? Mom and Dad don't agree with you going to the competition. What are you hiding from us? Sufan remained silent, and for a while she had not found a reason to defend herself. How to say this? 10 years later, the second old man no longer cared about it himself and could hardly help her with reference. She had long been accustomed to making her own decisions. However, forgetting to tell them that this matter was indeed considered impossible to challenge, in their eyes. Sufan obediently licked the marshmallows and listened to the two of them clearly calming down, then slowly followed them back home. After finally escaping from the clutches of his parents, Sufan returned to his bedroom holding Coke. Coca-Cola is clearly interested in this new place. The cultivation area is completely different from here. It lightly jumped onto the desk piled with books, stood its ears upright, and played with the blank pages of the book. Oh no, it can move. Amazing. Oh no, it's clean. Amazing. Coca-Cola furrowed her eyebrows, and the white cloud pattern on her forehead drifted with it. Sufan played with it for a while, then let it explore new areas and lay in bed brushing her phone. But can't we just mark it casually? At this age, I should know that this is its territory and won't mark it casually, right? Moon and moon. That's for sure. Coca-Cola didn't look back even after playing. After browsing for a while, there was not much news. It was either pet gossip or pet fights. Sufan decided to study the Extraordinary Beast Encyclopedia of the Golden Finger. Extraordinary Illustrated Guide for You to Open, detected. Shuyue Miao, perfect 4 out of 10, power level. E.level, 7 out of 10, spiritual power. E.level, 5 out of 10, strength. Level E, 4/10, speed. E.class, 6/10, potential. E.level, 7 out of 10, contract situation. Already contracted, properties. Shadow, ice, skills. Bite, beginner May 10th, invisibility, beginner June 10th, tail attack, beginner May 10th, phantom moon, not mastered 0 out of 10, ice blade, not mastered 0 out of 10, points. 10, progress with your partners, number of points. Add points to boost skills. Sufan tentatively clicked on the back of the ice blade, and the cola at the corner of the bed unconsciously shook its paw. Unconsciously, a faint chill appeared. Ice blade, not mastered 1 out of 10, point count. 9. Did you add some points or haven't you mastered them yet? Is it because Coca-Cola didn't train this skill? Just like shaking a cola without opening the bottle, cola is difficult to come out. Without training, there is strength in the air and it is difficult to play. We still need to schedule the training. The high requirement is to obtain an F.level Beast Master certificate before the middle school entrance examination, and there are still 3 months left. With Coca-Cola's talent, it is not difficult to pass this exam. The key is perfect quality. That is an important index for the advancement space of extraordinary creatures. If the quality can be upgraded now, it means that Coca-Cola's future growth has no ceiling. As long as it continues to upgrade, it can become one of the strongest extraordinary creatures. Sufan's heart became hot. Knocking. Enter. Rice Dumpling came in with a plate of sliced fish shreds and a plate of pineapple. Wang Wu. Learn to pay attention to your body and eat more fruits. Good, Yu. Out of curiosity, Coca-Cola leaned in. Before going out, Rice Dumpling touched its head. Sufan remembered the information given to her by Pan Jinxiu. She took it out of her backpack and flipped through each page to check. Knocking. Enter. Sesame swaggered in holding a bundle of dried fish. The fragrant and sweet smell of dried fish drifted over, pulling Cola closer to Sesame Seed step by step. Sesame glanced up and down, snorted disdainfully, and put down the dried fish. Snow and snow. Before leaving, it vigorously touched the small head of Coca-Cola. According to Pan Jinxiu's records, Sufan ordered several pet animal complementary foods and some extraordinary biological energy items online. Knocking. Enter. Chen Yi came in carrying a plate of canned fish and a plate of apples. Learn to pay attention to your body. Before leaving, she touched the head of a large piece of cola. Knocking. Su Guoqin came in empty-handed. Study hard and don't play with your phone. Before leaving, he hugged the belching cola he had eaten. Sufan. I don't even pretend anymore, do I? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. First Battle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 First Battle Early Morning. Happiness Park. Sufan took a morning run with Cola. On the training sheet, Coca-Cola needs to run around the park 3 times, and then follow the information in the guidebook to explore and try the skills time and time again. As a friendly beast tamer, how could she let her extraordinary companions fight alone? Of course, it's hard to run with it. So, Cola focused on sprinting ahead, while Sufan ran slower and slower behind, and finally walked slowly. There's no way, not exercising regularly is like this. Even if you grit your teeth, you can only persist for 5 seconds. From time to time, Coca-Cola looked back to ensure that the beast tamer followed and then galloped with hooves. It always thought it was a game of chasing after each other. In just a moment, Coca-Cola couldn't see the figure of its own animal trainer. It took a few steps and finally sat down in place. Whether or not to say it, running is really tiring. I haven't moved like this before at the base, take a break. Just waiting for his own beast tamer to come over, Cola simply lay on the cool chair. The grass flies green, the breeze is gentle, and the leaves rustle. The cool and sticky unknown liquid dripped and fell. Coca-Cola's ears twitched, leaped forward, and narrowly avoided it. It lifted its head and a pair of green pupils instinctively searched for the culprit. Sharp eyes swept around, as if sensing something. Cola pounced sideways and dodged a fireball from the air. Found it. Coca-Cola followed the trail and saw a fiery red flame-tailed sparrow hovering in the sky. Noticing its gaze, the flame-tailed sparrow growled even more excitedly and performed an aerial somersault. It's obvious that provoking Coca-Cola won't fly and won't hit it. Bullying cats too much. The cola exploded and raised its fur, showing its teeth and warning in a low voice. The flame-tailed sparrow doesn't care about that insignificant protest. Speaking of which, it is enjoying the helpless appearance of the small thing on the ground. A hint of contempt flashed in its eyes as it pounced down with its wings folded, and due to its rapid movement, the entire air was enveloped in a thin layer of flames. It's the charge of firepower. Kola lowered her body and then secretly gathered strength, intending to have a hard fight. Invisible, jump away. A familiar voice suddenly came, and it froze for a moment before disappearing into place. The target suddenly disappeared, and the flame-tailed sparrow felt uncomfortable and immediately stopped urgently. However, due to excessive force, even if the flame-tailed sparrow opened its wings in time, it still couldn't help but make intimate contact with the ground. Sufan immediately said, "Bite and tear." A black stream of light suddenly pounced on the flame-tailed sparrow on the ground, and a mournful cry sounded instantly. Coca-Cola did not soften and continued to increase its strength, attempting to vent the anger of being attacked earlier. For a moment, the flames were flying everywhere, and I was about to fall into a disadvantage. The flame-tailed sparrow's heart was horizontal. Sufan promptly commanded, "Jump away." The next second, Coca-Cola disappeared invisibly around. Bang, the flames burned fiercely from it, creating waves of heat, and Coca-Cola suddenly revealed its figure. The flame-tailed sparrow struggled to get up and pounced on its position. Cola jumped away flexibly and began to move. Sufan opened the guidebook and decisively added points to the tail attack column. Eyes. Tail attack. Cola paused for a moment, clarified Sufan's meaning, and a few false moves passed by. The flame-tailed sparrow's spirit was greatly boosted, and it focused on its vulnerability attack. Just hit the nail on the head. Cola held his breath and focused, with a gentle sweep of his tail. Several black air blades flew out and headed straight towards the right eye of the flame-tailed sparrow. The flame-tailed sparrow had a strong sense of unease. It turned its head slightly, unable to dodge, and its aura could barely hit the corner of its eye. Despite this, the flame-tailed sparrow covered its eyes and fell to the ground, losing the ability to fight again. Take advantage of its illness to kill it. With the same idea in mind, even before Sufan spoke, Cola rushed up with a whimper. "Stop it." A male voice came from afar, full of disbelief. Sufan didn't even blink his eyelids, letting Coca-Cola bite and attack at the same time, not letting go of the self-inflicted flame-tailed sparrow. For a moment, feathers fluttered and screamed incessantly. When Lin Wenbo hurried over, this tragic scene caught his eye. He felt a pain in his heart and shouted, "I said stop. It's all a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. You're going to kill it like this." He shouted at Sufan, but Sufan didn't hear him. This immovable appearance made Lin Bowen doubt whether she was shouting too softly or whether she was already deaf and mute. Since the other party doesn't eat soft. Lin Wenbo's eyes stiffened, and a fierce roar echoed from behind him. Sufan raised his eyelids, waved his hand, and Cola quickly jumped down and slipped into Sufan's arms. She looked behind Lin Wenbo and slowly saw a bear-like extraordinary creature standing nearly 3 meters tall. Iron armor explodes into a bear. Circle the bear. Ming Lian Ku. Acid. For a moment, Sufan's mind was filled with several extraordinary races that matched it, all of which were very tricky. What's going on? Hit the little one, come the old one. The boy in front of him is wearing black-framed glasses and has some freckles. At first glance, he is about the same age as her. Adult extraordinary creatures above level D generally do not like this newly awakened beast tamer. So this extraordinary creature looks like it could only be his parents' contractual partner. Why? Is this posture intended to calm things down? Sufan nodded at Lin Wenbo and pointed to the flame-tailed sparrow, saying, "Is this your extraordinary creature?" Lin Wenbo's polite face almost deformed. "Otherwise what?" "You pretended not to hear a single word I just said, right?" "Yes, that was a misunderstanding just now." Lin Wenbo leaned against the giant bear extraordinary creature, and no one was hesitant. "I had something to do earlier, so I left and kept the circle bear watching the flame-tailed sparrow. Who knew it was just running out like this? The child is playful, and his heart is not bad. So. It can spit at my pet now. Oh, it likes Shuyue Miao to play. Shuyue Miao didn't understand its meaning. You didn't understand the meaning of my family's cola, and it's also playing with the flame-tailed sparrow. In the relationship between Shuyue Miao and others, the more you like someone, the more you like to take off their hair as a gift. Your flame-tailed sparrow blamed my family's cola for its kindness. Lin Wenba's chest heaved a few times, and as he was about to refute, he stubbornly endured it. Haha, that's just a misunderstanding. Meeting each other is fate. My family's circle of bears really likes Shuyue Miao. As soon as the words fell, the bear in the circle pounded its chest and feet, roared loudly, and shook the nearby birds away. Then, it reached out to Sufan and grinned at her. Sufan's heart was pounding as she was roaring. She had never seen any big scenes before and remained motionless. Taking advantage of its body shape, the circle bear also demonstrated its extremely strong combat power, so let's shake hands in the end. She looked expressionlessly at Lin Wenba, who laughed like a spring breeze. Sufan grabbed it in front of him. Extraordinary illustrated guide for you to open, detected. Bailey Avoidance, Elite, Power Level. E. Level, Spiritual Power. Level D, Strength. Level F, Speed. Level E, Potential. E. Level, Contract Situation. Already contracted, Attribute. Soil, Skills. Phantom, Mastery, Invisibility, Beginner, Points. Unable to unlock due to your inability to contract, Comprehensive Evaluation. Fox pretends to be Tiger's power, Empty has its own surface, Contract not recommended. Sufan frowned and quickly withdrew his hand. She looked at Lin Wenba with a gentle smile, as if she didn't want to argue. Look what she found. End of this chapter.